But in a moment, something really fascinating. He lives in Seaford, but sadly, as an artist, he has retired. This man, this Italian tenor, had the chance to become the next Carouso. They wanted him in Hollywood when Mario Lanza died, and yet he turned his back on fame and fortune. His name is Luigi Campeotto. It was earlier this year that Nalini de Sielvie sent me a book about Luigi Campeotto. She's written several books. She's from Sri Lanka herself, and she's highly regarded as a writer, especially of biographies, and she's written this book about Luigi, who currently, I think, is aged 76 years and lives in Seaford. And the book is entitled, and the title grabbed me, Is This Your Carouso? Because here is a man who had the chance to become a world-famous opera singer and turned his back on fame and fortune. This is the voice of Luigi. We track the fascinating life of Luigi Campeotto, who's one of ours, living locally, and will be tuned to us now. And Luigi, we wish you well as we talk to your biographer, Nalini de Sielvie. Good evening, Nalini.
Good evening. Is that Phil or Simon?
It's Philip talking to you, but Simon's here also.
Yes, we're both here as well. Hello, Nalini.
Hello to you both.
Your book really captured my imagination, and the first few chapters were really poetry, where you described the birth of Luigi. In fact, I think he was born out in the countryside unexpectedly. He came early, didn't he?
Yes, he was.
Tell us a story.
How much do you want to know of his early days?
Well, very briefly, I just want to know about his background in Italy and living on the land as he did with his family. They lived in very poor circumstances, didn't they?
Yes, and he had a very difficult childhood.
Yes.
From a poor farming family. And he worked hard all his young life, but he had determined, passionate nature, and the first few chapters deal with the things that he got up to, like adding vinegar into the priest's wine.
Oh.
He was an altar boy.
Yes, yes.
And but in his young days, he thought he'd be a missionary priest.
Yes.
Then to escape the poverty there, when he was 21, he left Italy and came to Western Australia in 1957.
And was he already singing by then? Because I remember the peasants and the farmers used to be enchanted by his singing voice when he was younger.
Yes, as a young boy, his godfather heard him singing in the stables while he was cleaning the stables, and he wanted to train the young boy's voice then. But Luigi had a passion for mechanics. He wanted to be a mechanic that time.
Yes.
And his singing was just not something that he was keen to follow at the time.
And when he came to Perth, I understand from your book, this was 1957, he had a toughie. He was working in crayfish factories, and he certainly was getting his hands dirty, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and he worked in the most appalling conditions in those factories back in the 50s.
And when he sang for the first time, is it true he was so modest he wanted the lights turned off so people could only hear him but not see him?
That's true, and he said he turned red as a beetroot because he was a very modest, bashful young man.
Yes.
And then after that, he started singing at local functions. And after a while, he worked in Witternum Gorge in asbestos mines.
And did that affect his health later in life?
Pardon?
Did his health suffer because of working with asbestos?
Well, he says miraculously he was not affected.
Right.
So he didn't suffer the effects of those asbestos mines.
Yeah.
And as we say, fortunately. But after that, from the mines, he went on to singing at competitions and won a contest at Mario's, a popular club in Perth.
Oh, yes.
And the newspapers were full of the event, and it attracted a lot of attention.
Now, he was described at the time by the press as Australia's Pavarotti and a second Carouso. So did this lead to a lot of concert engagements, and did he perform in opera in Europe?
Now, that came a little bit later. He was first training as a singer, and it was a few years later when he returned to Australia because he won a scholarship. And he went to Milan to study under a famous teacher there.
Yeah.
And in Europe, he did sing in many operas, and he had quite a bit of success overseas. But unfortunately, at that time, the Italian government wanted him to enlist in the army.
Yes.
And he returned in about 2 years or 3 years.
And you know...
And that's the time he had a lot of engagements in Western Australia. Mm-hmm. And he was described and hailed as a second Carouso and the Pavarotti of Australia.
Being the modest sort of person that he was, yes, and apparently quite shy, how did he cope with all this attention?
It must have been a very difficult time because he was not really cut out to be in the limelight. He never wanted to be a famous opera singer. Mm-hmm. It was almost like events were forced on him.
And Nalini, he had the chance to go to Hollywood when Mario Lanza died, yes, and perhaps to do a screen test and become a famous movie star. Why did he refuse that?
He described that at the time he was going through some personal traumas in his life.
Yes.
And his teacher, Mervyn Piper, said that he did not want Luigi to end up the way Mario Lanza did.
Right.
What he meant by that, I don't know whether Hollywood would spoil him or whatever.
Well, you know, obviously in his life there were many triumphs, but also much sadness, yes, and I guess that's the reason he's not singing today. What is it that turned his life around from triumph to tears?
I would say the final blow was in 2003 when his only son was killed in an accident while he was holidaying in Italy. And I was there at his last concert when he tried to sing right through to the end and broke down.
In fact, I believe that the very day he found out that his son had died, he went ahead and performed that very night.
Exactly. He was a true performer to the end. But there is an interesting story before that because he retired from show business and went into business for about 15 years in Donnybrook. Mm-hmm. And then this really brilliant pianist, Antoinette de Kiliotis, found him again and brought him back. So his second comeback was in 1997. Mm-hmm. And he said, Luigi said of Antoinette, this lady helped me back from the grave.
Yeah.
After that, he had quite a bit of success once again. And he was sang in front of ex-President Bill Clinton at the Crown Casino when he visited Melbourne.
Yes.
And he was quite busy doing a lot of concerts, charity work, before this tragedy struck. And the greatest thing is, even though those CDs were recorded at live concerts and at home where he was singing, Antoinette wanted to put it all together just because she knew that he had this unique, wonderful voice, and she saved it for posterity. So at the moment, we don't know whether he'll ever get back to singing again.
Would he want to do it if the opportunity arose, or is he now just happy to stay away from the limelight?
I think if the opportunity arose, he would still be able to make a third comeback because he still has a wonderful voice. He still goes and practices sometimes.
Yes.
And he teaches this pianist tells me that his voice is still there.
Yes, it's tragic. He's still grieving 10 years after the death of his son, and
Exactly.
you just would imagine that a comeback to the concert stage for him at 76 would give him a new lease of life and would give so much pleasure to his fans because of his God-given talent.
Yes.
I'm hoping that our little chat tonight, Nalini, I'm hoping our little chat tonight might encourage him and inspire him to jump on the comeback trail one more time.
Yes, we all hope so, because he can still continue to give a lot of listening pleasure to his audiences.
Does he sing at all in a church choir? Does he sing at all today?
No.
Oh, more's the pity. In saying goodnight to you, I'd like to tell people that your book is available, and so are the CDs. The book is called Is This Your Carouso? A Biography of Tenor Luigi Campeotto, and the book is by Nalini de Sielvie, and also the CDs can be purchased too. How do we go about that, Nalini?
If anyone visits my website, it's www.nalinidesilvie.com.
Yes.
They can order the CD
Yes.
through that avenue.
Yes.
But the books are available through Melrose Publications UK.
Melrose in the UK.
Yeah.
And-
Online orders, or if they go to Dimmock's or Robinson's and just order the book.
Of course. And your name is spelled Nalini, so that's www.nalini.com, or go to your...
Not quite, Phil. Sorry, just a correction. The website is Nalini de Sielvie, so it's www.nalini.DESIELVIE.
That's it.
I guess we have to put the surname in too. In saying goodnight to you, I do hope that Luigi has been inspired by the promotion we've given him tonight and the encouragement we've given him. I thank you for sending me the book. It's a fascinating read. And in saying goodnight to you, let's listen again to the magical voice of Luigi Campeotto. Thank you so much, Nalini.
Thank you, Phil and Simon. My pleasure.
Goodbye.
Bye.
pensieri